Welcome back, everybody. Hope you're all well, and thanks for returning to my channel. At the end of the last episode, I showed how the roof has changed. As you can see in these photos, we've gone from having a tile roof to this metal roof without the solar panels. Personally, I think it looks great. It's a nice clean look, and hopefully will last for many more years to come. For the eagle-eyed amongst you, you may notice that the balcony has also been removed. So in today's episode, we're going to look at how that was taken off, and also at what's happening with the roof to the garage. You can see in the video on this right side of the garage, there was originally a structure on these concrete blocks. Originally, when I bought the place a couple of years ago now, this garage roof looked like this. It was basically a pond because there's no drainage point. I did a video a while ago on clearing this entire top surface. So all of this junk and water and plants have now gone. And a few weeks ago, this is the result of the construction work on that top surface. I'll talk about drainage a little bit later. Now back to the work on the balcony. We've known for quite some time that the balcony itself was not really safe. It felt quite spongy to walk on, and I'm guessing that the beams underneath are actually pretty rotten. So the first thing to do really is to take off these under panels and get a good look. I started off using kind of a screwdriver and then moving to the impact driver, but later on found that quite a lot of the screws, the heads, were no good, and they're obviously rusted. So later on it was easier just to use a pry bar to pull these panels down. And the first panels are off there. You can obviously see they're in pretty bad condition. And back to taking off the rest. So I thought it might be good to take a quick break and show you what kind of a planning really. It's not a final design, but we'd like a similar balcony at the top, but also with some decking at the bottom, so that once we come out of any of these doors or windows at the front, we can go straight onto the decking. At the moment, coming out of any of these rooms, there's about a meter drop down to the concrete base, which isn't great. So we're getting to the end of the bottom boards here, and now it's time to switch over to remove the front face boards. And that's the last piece off, and now we can have a closer look at these beams. And as you can see from these series of photos, they really are in a bad state. It's as we suspected. You can see the darkened colour from the rot and the water damage. It's just basically destroyed them. Especially worrying are these photos of the upright posts. This wood is supposed to be pressure treated, so resistant to rot, but resistant doesn't mean that it will, of course, last forever. And just a quick shot of one of the boards I brought down from the underside of the balcony earlier. As you can see, this plywood has just had it. It's rotten all along the front edge, and the water's just been sitting there doing more damage. To give you an idea of what we've been looking at, if you look at the end of the house with the apex at the top, usually the beams would run from the front to the back of the house. If the house has no balcony or plans to add a balcony at a later date or even decking, the boards would actually stop at the front and rear walls. In this case, however, the balcony itself was an integral part of the structure of the house, so basically the beams protrude through the front walls. Further support posts and of course railings and floor to the balcony are then added. So basically the whole balcony has just rotted away. It's no use at all, it needs to come off. As the scaffolding was already up for the roof replacement, we asked the same company to actually remove all of the balcony rather than get somebody else in new who was going to charge us for scaffolding, etc., etc. For those of you who haven't done so already, if you enjoy what you're seeing, please go ahead and subscribe and do all that usual bell and thumbs up stuff. Thanks, it really helps. As you can see, the weather was pretty bad. This was filmed about a month ago, getting into the autumn, and so it's a bit rainy. The next decision to make was whether to go with just a temporary cover. Obviously, we don't want any more rain damage, or whether to go with something a little more permanent until we'd found exactly what kind of design we wanted to use for a new balcony. And here it is. The roof is obviously finished. The balcony is off. We had two choices for the waterproofing until we replaced the balcony. The first was obviously just a temporary kind of blue tarpaulin sheet thing, and the second was to use this metal coating. They charged us about 70,000 Japanese yen, which is about $700 to do all of the front metal working, and it gives us maybe up to 6 months of peace of mind, let's say, until we know exactly what we're going to do. This gives you a bit of an idea of just how bad the previous construction workers were, who were supposed to have repaired the balcony when we bought the place. You can see there's just paint everywhere. In case you're wondering what the green mosaic area in the bottom right hand corner of each photo is, these were the photos taken by the construction company. Every day they would send us progress photos, I guess, and at the end of the job they gave us every single photo on an SD card for the future. We'll be coming back to the balcony progress in a later video. Originally I'd planned to do the work myself, maybe in the spring or summer, but of course it meant being up on ladders or getting scaffolding in, so it was probably best just to let the construction company do it while they were there. And now on to the second part of the video, the garage roof. As I said earlier, this just turns into a swimming pool every time it rains, and really needed some kind of drainage. Here you can see it just becomes like a pond every single time it rains, plus of course leaves, etc. And I didn't think it would be too long before it again looked like a swamp. So the first thing that needed to be done were these concrete blocks needed to come out. They're a bit of a worry because obviously around the edges where they meet the base there could be cracks where water could seep through. Unfortunately, this was done during the week when I wasn't actually at the house, so I'm having to rely on a series of photos that the construction company sent me. Here you can see they've already taken away some of those blocks and sealed the surface around it. Once the surface had been thoroughly cleaned, this white milky substance you use is like a concrete bond. It's no good pouring new concrete, for example, onto existing concrete. It just cracks and breaks up, it doesn't stick, so there needs to be a kind of bond between the two surfaces. So you may be asking, what is the plan for this? I managed to drill a hole for drainage in one corner, so we're going to be laying the concrete on a slope so that any rainwater runs towards that corner and is able to drain away. The next step is to put down this metal mesh, sometimes called rebar. This is joined together with wire to hold it nice and strong. It just basically creates what's called reinforced concrete, reinforced obviously by this steel mesh. Here you get to see the entire back part of the garage with the steel mesh. The front portion of the garage already actually has a drain hole and drains quite well towards one corner, so that's not such an issue. And coming now on to the pour, I obviously wasn't here for this. Again, I'm sorry, I have to rely on photos to show this work, but it's looking pretty good. Of course, because of the poor weather, they needed to cover the entire concrete area with these tarpaulins and plastic sheets. You can see here how they've gone along and actually smoothed out the concrete. One of the workers actually smoothing this out. Wow, look at that fantastic sunset. Of course, these workers work right through into the dark. They usually leave at about 6 o'clock. It's already dark here by then. And the final process was to put a waterproof or water resistant coating over the top of this just to protect the surface. And here it is, all done. It's a big relief to have this surface completed, and hopefully it's not going to turn into another swimming pool or a pond on the top here. Eventually, I'd like to put some stairs up at the back of the garage here to this area, put a railing around, of course, and possibly some decking down, and use the area for little parties, or actually thinking of putting some telescopes up here. Anyway, let me know what you think. Here's a quick before and of course after shot, and if you look closely in this top corner you will obviously be able to see the drainage hole where the water is supposed to be able to escape from, if you look carefully here. And thanks for watching. If you're interested, then there are a few other videos here, and I'll see you next time.